basically what our project is about, our video project is about, is over-harvesting in fisheries in Trinidad and Tobago. We want to look at how we want to rehabilitate those fishing populations. We want to look at the policies that are put in place. We also want to look at how the fishing population has decreased over the amount of years.
What trends in fish species, populations, availability, size, and distribution do you know of within Trinidad's waters? How are the sizes, quantity, and frequency of catches as opposed to those 10 years ago? Are they increasing or decreasing?
My name is Judith Gogan. I'm a lecturer in marine ecology. It is very well known that there is a decline in the catches of fish. And it has been so for the last, 10, 15 years. And it is for a number of reasons. We have got a few research students doing some work who are looking at the reductions in shark catches, and of course this is quite topical because, as you're aware, the scientists are suggesting that sharks are becoming extinct and the population will reduce. So the scientists are also now beginning to appeal to the local population to stay away from shark and bait. So that's one species that we know is endangered and under threat.
What, in your opinion, is the reason for this?
Well, it's twofold really. It's what has been always the sort of, when things are available, when species are available, so there's that overfishing where you have, obviously, the more fishing vessels and fleets you have out there, the greater catches. Of course, fish is a protein source that's very popular, and of course, Lenten season, demand for fish will increase during those periods. Fish items on a menu are very, very popular. So there are many fishermen. There's a lot of fishing going on. There have also been a lot of incentives from the government to promote fishing practices. So that has also caused an increase in the number of fishing vessels. Additionally, there is the international fishing, meaning that you have some long liners and long international fleets that come into Trinidad waters, and they are fishing. Some of it not so good practices in terms of the trawling, and as you know, the trawling disrupts the seabed, and to a large extent trawlers are responsible for the demise of the fishery.
Trends over the past 10 years, that's a kind of difficult question to answer because you need to have data for the past 10 years, and data is notoriously hard to collect in the fishing industry. That being said, when comparing historic data to data that we have now, it seems to be that there's a decreasing trend in both numbers of target species, sizes of the catch, and an increasing effort to catch the same amount of fish that they would have caught in the past.
Do you see any specific species as having decreased in numbers and as becoming less abundant in our waters?
Well, probably the most recognized species would be the sharks from the shark fishery. As you know, we have a very vibrant shark and bait industry in Trinidad. But the shark fisheries on the whole globally are notoriously very hard to maintain. They are not sustainable in that they take such a long time for them to reach recruitment age. So shark fisheries on the whole are not sustainable, and in Trinidad we're seeing smaller and smaller individuals from the shark species, the different shark species being taken for the shark and bait industry. So sharks are probably the most recognized one. But you also have fish like redfish. Redfish numbers have declined steadily over the years, as well as the main workhorse in the groundfish fishery, whitemouth croaker. We've also seen a reduction in numbers and especially in sizes. The sizes that they're taking now are probably pre-recruitment size.
What, in your opinion, is the reason for this?
Well, it's overfishing. Overfishing stemming from a lack of proper management. Fisheries Division they're trying. They have just implemented a new project called the CLME project, but changing legislation is a tricky thing. They have, in 2011, the draft bill of 2011 came out. It's white paper, green paper, and trying to become law, but it has since become mired in political red tape. So getting laws to be passed seems to be a difficult thing.
Okay. Do you know of any strategies that can be implemented to curb the trend of declining fish species?
Well, yeah, there are. First and foremost, there's the management aspect. If you have proper management, like in the United States, like in New Zealand, they have very good management techniques, strategies. They have been able to curb the decline of many of their fish populations and have actually started a build back and increase in the rate of the populations. So in Trinidad, we need to have proper management, but we also need to have education, because there is a human aspect to the fishery. You need to educate your fishermen. I've done a survey in the trawl fishery, and it turns out that there are many information gaps in the knowledge of the fishers, and information gaps in their knowledge affect what they do out in the field, right? So it influences their attitudes and it influences their practices in the field. So education is a big thing, along with proper management, but not only educating our fishermen, but you need to educate the consumer as well. If the consumer knows that buying, let's say for example, shark and bake is not sustainable, maybe they will shift to buying kingfish and bake or something like that. If they realize how hard it is and how destructive it is to catch shrimp, maybe they would shift to not buying shrimp, or maybe shift into buying maricultured shrimp, cultured shrimp. And that's another thing too. We can actually move away from this need to trawl to catch shrimp, and we can actually go into mariculture, actually growing shrimp. The IMA has done a project recently on growing Penaeus vanemi. I think it was successful, but the cost to grow them was a bit iffy. But that's the direction we need to go in. We need to go into proper management, decentralizing the decision-making process with our fishermen, educating our consumers, and looking towards different forms of exploiting these shrimp stocks and these fish stocks.
What is your opinion on trawling, which had been highlighted as a major contributor to the loss of diversity and decrease in the fish stocks?
There is, of course, the debate with the types of vessels and the types of fishing that practices, and of course trawling is one of the main ones that we see as quite degrading in the environment. Well, first of all, I'm sure a lot of our scientists would like to call for a total ban on trawling, and certainly trawling in the inshore coastal area, which is where a lot of this actually happens. What you have them taking from the seabed, removing all the juveniles and the shrimp prey as well, not just the juvenile fish. You know, it's shrimp and all the other seafood that we're accustomed to.
Do you know of any strategies that can be implemented to curb this trend? What alternative harvesting methods are available, and how profitable and sustainable are they when compared to trawling?
If we are to have a sustainable fishery, we have to balance. We must balance what we're taking out and what we're allowing to grow, or to get to females getting to gravid ages and stages and so on. But the other methods would be your sort of normal, you know, the gill net, the fishing, other fish nets, use of fish nets, long liners, you know, just sort of the fishing that other, with the purse nets and seines and so on, that Italian seines and so on that vessels are using. Those methods of fishing are sustainable. The trawling method is not sustainable when it's done, and I should say that's when especially when using the bottom trawls. You can do mid-water trawls, and those will be a more sustainable type of trawling. There should be incentives now at a national level to encourage local people and to encourage the fishermen to use more sustainable practices. And it's not a simple process by any means, but it does simply mean that you guide fishing practices, and what you do is you educate and guide fishermen as to when they should fish for certain types of species, and of course this has to be backed with good scientific knowledge and background information in terms of what's available at what time of the year. It would also include things like we have to maybe put legislation in place for size of fish that people should be taking. So you wouldn't use methods where you catch undersized fish, or what we call less than a comfortable plate size. And you also want to try and limit, and again the science will have to encourage or guide how this is done. You want to encourage that fishing practices do not remove the what we call, say, the females who are not able to produce, because remember, the female of the species, if they're not able to produce, then that really endangers the entire fish population.